Yes, Ring Kings podcast is back. Mikey B, Jose in the house. What's going on, fellas?
A lot of stuff happening in boxing, but yeah, not much over here.
Just trying to continue to be the best boxing podcast out there. That's it. That's all we're doing.
Indeed. We are growing. All right, so we are doing a live version of this podcast that we usually like to put out on, recorded and put out everywhere that you listen to an audio podcast, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. And this will be uploaded once we're done. Also, we're streaming live on YouTube and Twitter right now, so make sure you follow us over there at Ring Kings Pod. Okay, and we already got a couple people in here. All right. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the LBHT crew that's watching. Look, man, I thought we were gonna be live streaming for the Jake Paul fight. Mm-hmm. He decided to cancel, so it was a little slower this weekend than expected, but we still have a lot to talk about with or without that live stream. We're gonna talk about stuff anyway. Shout out to Ravens Online Gatekeeper for coming through. Yes, the best boxing podcast out there.
Thank you.
Indeed. Yes. All right. So Jake Paul canceled the fight. We're gonna get to that. We had a fight last night. Virgil Ortiz returning the ring after I think a 16-month or 18-month layoff. Looked very impressive. Yeah. And then we're going to give our predictions for Triple G Canelo Part 3 and also Usyk versus Anthony Joshua Part 2. All right. So
we're going to start off first. Virgil Ortiz versus Michael Mckinson and the undercard. Like you said, in the main event, Virgil Ortiz really just kind of overpowered Mckinson. Looked very impressive, especially considering the layoff. So he continued his undefeated streak, and he's got himself positioned very nicely for either a title fight or a fight with somebody like Jaron Ennis or one of the other top welterweights out there.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's not much to say, man. Like, well, there's something to say, man. But this is one of those fights that the pundits that had it predicted were almost spot on. I think they said 8 rounds, and he got that. I think it was around 8. They got him out of there. It was around
9.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it was almost spot on. Mckinson, he was a game fighter, right?
Mm-hmm. He undefeated, 22-0.
Yeah, 20. I mean, I'm just talking about from how you looked in the ring, right? Because sometimes fighters' records don't, they're just propped up. But you could tell he was one of those guys that wasn't going to fold. He wasn't going to back down. He's going to give you a fight. And that's what he did. He should have had a little more defense. I wish he had a little more defense because anytime I see boxers start landing to the body, even if the other fight is not showing anything, like it's not hurting them, like the consistency, the volume of times they land those shots to the body, it always 100% of the time comes back to bite you. Right? And that's what happened. I mean, every time Virgil Ortiz landed a shot to the body, it was like he was hitting the gym bag, right? And finally, he just couldn't take anymore. McKinson couldn't take anymore, and he folded over. Now, the final KO, he got out of the round. And then he came out in the next round, got hit in the body again. He fell over, but it looked like he was favoring his ankle or something like that. And like it looked like he needed help getting up. So I'm not sure if it was something that, he tore or rolled. I didn't hear the stories today of what happened. So I'm not 100% sure if it was a body blow that finally did it or if it was just an injury.
Yeah, one of the announcers said it looked like he rolled his ankle. The other said, no, that was a body punch. I couldn't really tell on the replay itself. But yeah, Mckinson went down in round 8. Got up to his credit, and he fought on, and in round 9 he went down again, and that was the kind of the end of the fight. Mike, what did you think about Ortiz's performance?
So look, this is what I'll say about Ortiz. I like the kid, but I will admit that I'm not. I missed a lot of his work, right? Mm-hmm. I haven't been really following him, like I said. I mean, his name has always been on my radar. But I mean, I recognize what he has. I think he is a game fighter. It's that time, like you said, Jerron Ennis or somebody like that. It's that time for him
to step up and
yeah,
kind of really challenge the top or even that second tier welterweights and try to get, everybody's kind of waiting around for Crawford and Spence.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talent below that Spence and Crawford tier as well. Also on that card, we had Bektemir Melikuziev. I'm not really gonna try to pronounce the other guy's name. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it, and it didn't last long enough for me to learn. So Bektemir, he had a loss against Gabe Rosado a few fights
crushing
ago.
loss.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't great, but he's back. He's won now 3 in a row, and he looked every bit of the bully in this fight. He followed the guy around. He was stalking him. He was landing what he wanted when he wanted. And yeah, he put it down. I believe it was in the 3rd round. This one was stopped.
Yeah.
So a nice performance from a still up and coming prospect. He was kind of being fast tracked for a title shot, but obviously hit a bump in the road with Gabe Rosado. But he's back on track now.
That was more than a bump. That was
a quick shout out. Our guy Eric L is in the house. Says greetings, brother man. Most excellent work as always. Shout out to you, Eric L. We were just talking about you offline about how every time you come through, you bring positive energy, man. Yes. Like we really appreciate it, man. And like you're always just positive thinking. So thank you for coming through. Yeah, Bektin. Was that his name? Not Bektemir. Bektemir. So he is in the same class as Munguia, right? Because Rosado fought Munguia.
Well, he's a light heavyweight. Light heavy.
He's light heavyweight?
Yeah. He's fighting at 175.
So he moved up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me check exactly when that would have happened.
I remember because after that fight, Rosado fought, I think.
Well, no, see, yeah, okay. So this one, he's still at 168, but they have him listed as a light heavy. So maybe he fought at 171, which is just above the super middleweight limit. So maybe he's planning a move up soon, but he has been fighting at 168. But it looks like maybe he's going to be moving up to 175.
Okay, all right. So this light heavyweight all of a sudden is getting some competition.
Yeah.
Right, you got Artur Beterbiev, you have Bivol, and you have Zurdo. Yeah, Zurdo there. So, yeah, that's getting interesting. Oh, and look who's here, Mr. Ferris says, well. Look what we have here. Yes, Ferris, we are streaming live. Yes, indeed. But yeah, shout out to Virgil Ortiz, man. He looks excellent. I think Oscar De La Hoya better get his act together. He has some amazing talent on his roster, even without Canelo Alvarez. I thought when Canelo left, that was it, right? Yeah. But he still got Ryan Garcia, who, even though we make fun of him, he's still a talented fighter, a popular fighter.
We don't make fun of him here.
Yeah.
We like Ryan.
We love Ryan. Virgil Ortiz is amazing. Jaime Munguia, that's one of his fighters too.
Yeah.
Man, De La Hoya's got some bangers over there, and he's throwing it away. Like
he has talent. He does have talent. My problem with him and Golden Boy is like, they have a nerve of talking about what Mayweather Promotions is doing with Floyd. I mean with Tank, and they're handling him with kid gloves. But Jaime Munguia is probably the most protected fighter there is right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he won't, and he does it. Like it seems like Virgil is kind of moving in a good, trajectory. But we already know what he's doing with Garcia and what's happened in the past. So that's my problem with Golden Boy. I know if he loses one of them or one of those take an L, that's gonna hurt him a lot. So
yeah.
And shout out to Anonymous for the donation. But you have to read that.
He says, "Thank you, brother man. Most excellent work."
Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. If you want to be awesome, like Anonymous, there are 2 ways you can do that. Right in the corner, next to Mikey, we have our Cash App $LBHT show. All right, and also that pin link that you see in the comment will take you to our stream elements if you're watching live. And either way, you can just leave a donation, leave your comment, and you'll get a nice little animation next to my face. I'm gonna change the animation a little bit for this this show. It was designed for me being around where Mikey's head is at right now. So yeah, I'm gonna change it up for this show. But yeah, that's how we do our super chats here. And if you want to donate afterwards, we can bring your comments up on screen for the next show. But yeah. So yeah, Ferris says Top Rank took one of their top female fighters. Who took who's top female fighters?
I'm assuming he means Golden Boy,
but which fighter? Who's Top Rank have on there? Are you talking about Clarissa Shields? Is she Top Rank?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I try not to keep up with the promoters that much. I mean, you have to, when you're talking boxing, but it's the least interesting part of boxing to me.
Yeah.
So who is promoting who?
Yeah.
But to move on with the rest of this card as well, there was one other pretty notable fight. Blair Cobbs, Blair the Flair, who was most recently seen getting knocked out by Alexis Rocha. He fought Maurice Hooker, former champion, trained by Brian McIntyre. He's in there with Terrence Crawford and them. I didn't hear all the details. They said that Maurice Hooker had suffered a personal loss recently, and it kind of shaken him.
And it showed,
and it looked like it. He was not engaged at all early in the fight, and Blair Cobbs knocked him down 3 times in the first 2 rounds. He didn't even look hurt. It was just it was like he wasn't there.
Yeah.
After the first couple of rounds, he did seem to kind of wake up a bit. And he started fighting, fairly well, but I mean, he was still getting outboxed. Ended up losing the decision to Cobbs, which I thought was unfortunate because I am not at all a Blair Cobbs.
Yeah, like what he's doing, like you get it, right? If you watch boxing long enough, you understand he's just trying to sell himself, right? He's trying to promote himself, but man, like he takes it up a notch, right?
Yeah.
He's putting on the whole WWE theatrics.
Not in an entertaining way, in a really forced and cheesy way.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I don't like the knocking anybody's hustle, but man, you don't look that good. You just got knocked out. I mean, and I don't know, it's corny, right? Like it's not even cool or funny. Like it's just kind of cheesy. I don't know, man. Here we are talking about him.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's ultimately what he wants. I mean, even with somebody like Rolly, right? He kind of pulls that, but Rolly it's funny. Like you get a kick out of when Rolly does it.
Yeah, he's so far off the rails.
Yeah,
it's entertaining.
Yeah, but when this guy does it, it's clearly like you said, it's clearly forced, and it is what it is. Like you said, we don't want to knock anyone's hustle, but I guess by any means necessary, or they say any press, including bad press, is good press. So yeah, we're talking about him, so we'll see. And he got the win. Yeah.
He did. And listen, I hope that Maurice Hooker is doing all right. I don't know if continuing to fight is really the best thing at this point. I mean, he was already kind of on the decline. Like I said, he didn't look he didn't really look like he wanted to be there a lot during that fight. So maybe either just take a layoff and see if you really want to come back and continue doing it or what. But yeah, it wasn't a great night for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, I think that's pretty much it for that card.
Yeah, we can move on to. I guess we want to go do the predictions for the upcoming major events. We got Triple G and Canelo coming in September. Along with Usyk and Anthony Joshua in just a couple weeks here. So I guess we could start with Usyk and Joshua since that's coming up first. What are your guys' thoughts?
I thought you wanted to get the easy one out the way.
I mean, they're kind of both the easy one.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Usyk and Joshua was a very compelling fight the first time. I think Joshua could easily pull that out had he done a couple of things. Had he been a little bit more aggressive early on.
Had he been a little less Anthony Joshua and a little more somebody else.
Listen, this fight can go either way. I'm telling you,
not according to Oleksandr Usyk's people, who are apparently already talking to Tyson Fury's people about a match in December.
Okay, so all right,
they think it's going to go one way.
So okay, we'll get to that part after we make our predictions. Let's predict this fight, and then we'll talk about that part because that's noteworthy as well. Yeah. So okay, I'll give my predictions. Usyk really he made me a believer, right? I slept on him a little bit. I didn't think he'd be able to hang with the top heavyweights, but he looked amazing. Yeah. And I believe him when he said you haven't seen the best of him, right? I think he's gonna come in even I think he's gonna look sharper, but I think Anthony Joshua, that's the thing about Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua does this, right? We know this. Like, he doesn't always show up for fights, but when he shows up, he looks great. Anthony Joshua has really good skill, good power. He has all the tools to be great. He's just not great, right? He just doesn't have the drive. But when he's motivated, he can go out there and bang with the best of them. Will he be motivated this time? He took that loss. I think he slept on Usyk like I slept on Usyk, right? I think he's more aware of it right now. And I think this is going to go to decision again. I think it's going to be split decision. And I'm going with my man, Usyk. I'm going with Usyk. I'm a believer.
Yeah. So history. Okay. So history shows, right? When Joshua comes off a loss, obviously he returns and he looks good. I guess that wakes him up. For some reason, he falls asleep and then he loses, and then he comes back looking like, the put together champion that, they created in the lab heavyweight champion that they wanted him to be. Yeah. So I'm keeping that in mind. Usyk is a guy who really, you two have kind of put him on my radar because I slept on him as well until this fight. But then again, going into that, I like, nothing surprises me with Anthony Joshua, especially after the Andy Ruiz loss, right? Mm-hmm. It just again, like you already said it, Jose. Like he looks the part, he has all the tools. He just hasn't found a way to put it together. Then he changed trainers for this fight, right?
Did he?
I thought they said that, or was it promoted? I don't know. Something. I think something in his camp changed, but I'm good. Listen, he's never lost back-to-back fights, right? So I'm gonna go with history repeating, or him living up to history and how it usually goes when he comes off of a loss. I'm gonna say Joshua pulls this off. It'll be close enough, right, where it can swing either way, but it'll be close enough where Joshua will do just enough to pull it off.
Okay. I hear what you guys are saying. It's really just, it's the only loss he had before this was the Ruiz loss, and he came back and he handled his business in that rematch. The difference here is it's not that he slept on Usyk, and he may have slept on Usyk. I don't know. But that wasn't the reason he lost. He lost because Usyk's a better fighter than him. And I think coming back in the rematch, we're going to see that holds up. Usyk is a better boxer. Usyk is tougher than him mentally and physically. And I think this time it's going to be a late stoppage. I think Usyk wins by TKO, I'm saying in round 9 or 10.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Hey, thanks for coming through, Eric. I appreciate you. See you on Wednesday. Yes.
So, and another thing that has me worried about Usyk, right? Not that he's shown this in the past, obviously, but listen, when you get a bigger check, and then you get, the fame that comes along with, you got the belts, you're the man, that thing changes. Like we haven't seen Caleb Plant since He got that 15 million or whatever he got for fighting Canelo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Canelo broke his face, so he needs a little time.
but and people might think that we're crazy, but I think I can speak for Zay. We had him up until that point. I had him winning.
I had him up in the fight. I had him winning that fight.
I had him winning. I think he was doing very similar to what Bivol did. He just didn't stick to that plan and he got caught. But nonetheless, right? When your bank account changes and then, it can, to some, it can affect how you train and you prepare for fights. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Usyk. I'm just saying that usually happens to, us Americans. That's what we do. We get the money and then we just want to, all right, man, we ain't fighting no more.
And then we're like, oh, hey, I only lost because my ring costume was heavy.
Yeah. Right.
Ferris says he's getting fat and happy, Mikey, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, right? Riddick Bowe said it best. Riddick Bowe said it best. It is hard to train in silk. It's silk road, it's silk training. It's just hard to do. So not saying that Usyk is gonna fall into that. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. Things change. It's called that, the champagne. You got the hangover from the champagne.
Usyk, right? He won that belt and then he volunteered to go to war.
Right. So it's a little different.
he said after the fight, and listen, a lot of fighters say this. A lot of fighters do. This is like the first time that I've ever actually believed it. He said he's in it for the glory of fighting. He's not in it for the money. He's in it to, like I said, for the glory. And I believed him. And then and then when they had the face off with Anthony Joshua, where he was giving Joshua the crazy Usyk eyes, and Joshua was looking real uncomfortable, it made me believe it again. So I think he's coming to kill him.
A guy that's willing to give it all and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to war.
Ferris, we know Marvin Hagler said it first, but Riddick Bowe also said it. We got you. We got you, Ferris.
We're gonna start calling Ferris Stat Guy. Ferris knows everything.
Yes. Ferris knows. Yes, he knows his stuff for sure.
You know,
shout out to Suge Knight 323s and coming through. Yes. Look, here's why I don't think it's gonna be a knockout. In the fight, once Joshua kind of made the adjustment and realized, okay, I got to step it up a bit. He hurt Usyk a few times, and I think when Usyk started to get a little comfortable, let his guard down, he got caught. In order for him to really go at Joshua and knock him out, he's going to have to kind of sell out a little bit at times, and which leaves himself open. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's too smart of a fighter for that. Now, if he sees an opening, sure, but I don't think he's going to really go at Anthony Joshua to really try to put him away. Like he tried to do it at the end of the fight. Joshua was kind of worn out. I don't think he'll try to do that early on, right? Where Joshua still has a lot in the tank. That's just too dangerous for him because he's still the smaller fighter.
I don't think he will either. I think that Anthony Joshua is going to come in with a mindset of, I need to be more aggressive. I need to show I'm the bigger man, the stronger man. And I think he's going to come forward. I think Usyk is going to be on the move. Usyk is going to wear him down. And then later in the fight, he's going to go after him.
Okay.
That's just the way I see it going. I like Anthony Joshua. Like I said, he's a very skilled fighter. He just never puts it all together all at the same time. Yeah. And I don't think that fighting a guy of Usyk's caliber is going to be where he figures it out.
Okay. Now, before we talk about the other story with Usyk reaching out to Tyson Fury, right? His camp, reaching out to Tyson Fury's camp. I won't put this out there again. Anthony Joshua, he didn't make our pound for pound list, right? He goes and gets his belts back. He could be on the pound for pound list, and everything's back on the table. Like he had a deal to fight Tyson Fury, a 2-fight deal. First fight was going to be $75 million a piece, right? Mm-hmm. That was just a purse, not including pay-per-view and all that stuff. So huge payday for both guys. They both had to do fights before that. Tyson Fury held up his end, beat Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk. So that kind of derailed things. But he wins this fight, everything's back on the table,
Mhm.
right? You're back on track. You're back on the pound for pound list. Okay, you had 2 losses, but you avenged both losses because that's like B always says, a loss doesn't derail you at all. In fact, it can help catapult you if you come back and avenge those in the right way. So he wins this fight. You know, it shows the resilience. Now you got the mega fight with Tyson Fury, right? Like you can be on top again. You can be the king of heavyweights if you win these next 2 fights. So that's still there, right? Now to the other thing, right? Because Usyk is so confident on this, he already lined up his next fight. He said, after I dispose of this man again, I want Tyson Fury. Now, I'm a little surprised by this news that apparently they had been talking to try to negotiate something, because I was certain that Tyson Fury would not jump in the ring with Usyk, because I think Usyk would absolutely work Tyson Fury.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think that you know, we're not the biggest Tyson Fury fans here on this channel.
No.
I don't think that, you know, his most notable wins obviously are over Klitschko, and then fast forwarding over a decade, he beat a guy who just in their 3rd fight tried to learn how to land a jab. So I mean, he hasn't beaten anybody. He's an entertaining guy for sure, super entertaining, and I don't think he's unskilled like Deontay Wilder. I just think he's not a particularly good fighter. I think in other eras he would just be kind of a journeyman. I don't think he deserves the praise that he gets, you know, in terms of like having being one of the all-time greats and all that. And I think that if he actually gets in the ring with Usyk, a lot of that's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, I think either way, right? You know, Fury is just leveraging everything right now. All of the Hall of Fame talk, all of that. I mean, all of the retirement talk, all of that. We all know that's BS. I like I said on this show before, I think that he truly wants Joshua to win, because I think he knows, and I think we know that will be the bigger fight, the bigger sell. You know, but I do know that he feels that either way, it's going to be a money fight, even if Usyk wins. And I think Fury is at that point where he's going to cash out. He's going to cash out in any way he can, in as many ways as he can. So either way, I think you're going to see a big purse, no matter who he fights. And, you know, I think that's why he's going to jump in there with him. I think Fury is skilled, right? I think this is what I would give Fury in a match with Usyk that Joshua can't do. Fury is smart enough, right, to try some things, maybe, you know, lay on Usyk, lean on him, that type of thing. Same thing he did with Wilder, right? You know, he knows he's a little more crafty in there than Joshua is. So I can see him trying that and maybe wearing Usyk out that way. But I can't say Usyk in this fight, right? If he pulls this off, depending on the fashion and how he does it, will tell me a lot on how I think a match with Fury would go. If it will be clean wash or if they're going to battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Jesus, Suge
Knight 323 says Tyson Fury, number 10 on Pound for Pound Ring Kings podcast. He is number 10. He made our pound for pound list on our Ring Kings pound for pound list, courtesy of Suge Knight. Okay? He's number 10 on our list. So look, nobody's saying he's not skilled, but the thing is, he fought 3 times against Deontay Wilder, all 3 times. Well, not the second fight. The second fight, he pretty much worked him. Had he worked Deontay Wilder that first fight, I would have a little bit less doubts about his skills. But the first fight, he died and the ref revived him, and he got up and got to finish the fight. And in the third fight, he got knocked down twice again.
Yeah,
and it's just like, you have no defense, because Deontay Wilder is the most inaccurate puncher I've ever seen. Okay, and like, you are working him. not only were you working him, he's tired, he's flailing, and he still managed to connect with you to put you down twice. Like, you're going to jump in the ring with somebody who's very skilled at what he does. Usyk and Joshua, to be honest, right? Like, if we're being honest, I would probably pick Joshua over Fury. Joshua, I think, is a more skilled boxer. He has everything. Like, technically, I think he's more technically sound than Fury. The only thing that we question about Joshua is his heart
and his chin.
I don't think his chin is a problem. I think it's his heart. I don't think he's easy to knock out, right? I think he quits, right?
No, but he's been knocked down multiple times and he's been hurt by a lot of fighters. Like, he has I'm not saying he has a glass chin, but it's not steel.
Right. Look, when you're fighting at that weight, man, it only takes one punch for anybody, man. Right? But yeah, I think Fury. Yes, I guess I see what you're saying, Mikey. Fury is more crafty, right? He's gonna try different things in that ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think Usyk is too skilled for it to work on, if that makes sense. But look, it looks like we are going to get some sort of combination of Tyson versus Joshua, Tyson versus Usyk. You know, the winner of that fight. That is going to be
talking about December.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Wow. That's
so I'm assuming if Joshua wins, there's no rematch clause.
Not that I've heard. I mean,
because this is the rematch right now.
So this is the rematch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he would have a rematch clause for this fight. But yeah, I think that whoever wins, they'll try to turn it around and fight Fury pretty quickly and cash in, like you're saying. Because there's not, once Fury is gone for real, there's not really much going on in the heavyweight division at all.
All right, I'm gonna read a couple comments here. Ferris says, saying Fury is skilled in the heavyweight division is like saying, girl, you won the least ugliest at the most ugliest contest. Okay, that's fair. Shook says, so going to pick a quitter over a man who fought depression, disrespect. Listen, nobody cares about stories when you jump in the ring, right? Like, all those stories go out the window. You have to go out there and perform. That's a nice story. It's a salute to him. But when you get in the ring, your stories don't win you style points. You have to go in there and show.
And listen, Tyson Fury quit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did. And
he's quitting now. He's retired, right?
Not talking about with depression or his mental illness or anything like that. I'm happy for him that he was able to battle through that and come back. But he quit boxing. I mean, he worked himself back, but he absolutely quit.
Yeah.
She said, Jose, like, I don't care about your depression. I don't care. It's not, I don't care. That's just the fact, right? Like, those stories matter off the field when you're trying to sell a fight or you're trying to sell a game. When you're playing football, basketball, whatever your competition is, it don't matter when competition starts. It doesn't matter what your story is. You have to go out there and you got to win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so stupid.
Like, this isn't like we talked about an overtime show about like Rudy and all those little feel good stories that aren't really true. Like that story of Rudy isn't that's not a true story. It's based on a true story. Yeah, some kid, use his privilege to get on a team that he didn't deserve to be on, but he didn't grit his way through college and on a team just to get that last tackle on a last play of his senior year. It didn't go down that way. All right.
Okay. So yes, technically he did not quit in the ring. He quit outside of the ring. He quit boxing. He cheated in the ring though. So that's who you're rooting for.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 for Usyk, 1 for Joshua. You got Joshua, right, Mikey?
Yeah, I took Joshua.
Okay. All right.
Somebody keep tally. Who's keeping tally? Ferris, keep tally.
Yeah. Put your
predictions in the chat.
D Weezy's here, okay? D Weezy, okay, from Backyard Action Media. He and also Lunch Money Bets. D Weezy, put your prediction in the chat as well, okay? Let people know who you got your money on, okay? That's the official money man right there, okay? When you talk about put your money where your mouth is, that's what he does. He'll tell you where the money's at, okay?
All right, so let's wrap this segment up real quick. Triple G and Canelo in mid-September. Triple G is going to get worked. Canelo by knockout.
Ooh, what round? How long?
I'm gonna say 7.
I'm
gonna say 7.
I can't see. Triple G is tough, man.
He's
can't
tough.
see him getting knocked out.
You almost saw him get knocked out against Morocco. No.
He didn't get knocked out.
I could see him get. I could see him getting beat up.
Yeah,
but I can't see him getting knocked out. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody. Let's just call it what it is, right? I'm not saying Triple G can't fight. I mean, we know he's on the back end. He's on the back 9 of his career, right?
He's on the back 9 and it ain't 9.
Yeah.
Or 10 or 11.
Yeah. And we know that this is another payday for him. But the one thought that pops in my head with Triple G is I think if it was one fight, right, of his career that he felt he was robbed in, obviously, I mean, it was this, right? And he feels like he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And I think he feels like Canelo is the reason for that. Mm-hmm. I personally feel like Triple G won the first fight. I thought Triple G won that fight. It ended in a draw, but it is what it is. Second fight, not so much. It was closer than I think people had it, but I think Canelo won. I wasn't upset about that. I think the bad blood in this fight is real on both sides. So that makes me think Triple G will come in, more motivated than he ever has. But then Canelo coming off of an L.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's
coming
the
off
thing.
of an L, you could just tell in the press, like people feel like Canelo is trying to sell this fight and that's why he's acting like that in the press. I don't think he's doing that to sell it. I think that he really doesn't like this guy. I just think that they have an issue with each other and he's coming off an L. So I think he's really, really upset. So, I'm going to go with Canelo because I'm not crazy. But I expect
Joshua, though.
I expect to see 2 motivated fighters. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Let's create some intrigue here, okay? All right, we'll make it fun. Coming off that loss to Bivol, right? Mm-hmm. A shocking loss, if you will, because everybody expected him to kind of walk through Bivol. Not your boy Damon. Shout out to Damon Nicholson, who just had another knockout win last night. Yes, we didn't mention him. He said don't sleep on Bivol, and he was absolutely right. He was absolutely right about that. The rest of us casuals, if you will, we got it wrong, right? But look, taking an L, especially when your confidence is high, sometimes that bubble bursts, and that can mess with your psyche a little bit. Yeah. Now, the reason why I feel like he lost to Bivol is because he didn't try to box. He went in there against a bigger, stronger guy and tried to overpower him, and he got outboxed himself. Mm-hmm. What got him that win over Triple G in that second fight was he outboxed Triple G, right? He didn't try to go in there and slug it out with Triple G because Triple G was the stronger guy. Does he go back to doing that, or does he try to just walk through him? I think initially, before the Bivol fight, I was saying he'll just walk through Triple G. Now, Triple G is a shell of himself. But having lost the way you just lost to a bigger guy, do you try to do that same strategy against Triple G this time around? Because here's the thing. Triple G, I think this is it for Triple G, win or lose. And I think he is going to go out on his shield, right? Yeah. And he's going to give you every last ounce of what he has left. You don't want to bang it out with this dude, right? You don't want to do that. Even at his age now, that's not advisable, right? Canelo has to go back to boxing, get back to that, because the fights that he's going to have to make coming up soon, it's going to require him to box. So get back to boxing, which he can do, right? Stop trying to just walk through people. Get back on track. I think Canelo wins by Split decision. Oh, I said it.
So what you're saying is Canelo loses and Oscar gets the win.
Listen.
or not Oscar, but it's promoters buys one of the judges.
Split decision. I'm not saying. Look, split decision. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I think that I think you're right about what happened with Canelo and why he lost to Bivol. I think he has this image of himself as kind of the juggernaut, and he's just like Mikey mentioned with Caleb Plant, he tried to just walk through him and bully him. And yeah, okay, maybe you're not winning every single round that way, but eventually, I am Canelo, I'm going to break this guy, and he did.
Yes,
and he's done that in a lot of his fights. Mm-hmm. Getting beat the way he did against Bivol, I think maybe it'll reset him a little bit. I think he does box Triple G initially. I think that, like Murata, I think he'll go to the body early. I think he'll wear him out like that. He'll hurt him like that, and then he'll switch back into juggernaut mode and take him out.
Yeah. I agree. I think I was going to say the same. I think he will box to start this fight, because if you noticed, and even, I mean, in the Bivol fight, I was like, he tired, right? He eventually looked, his hands were down. He was gassed, right? And then we all know he had a lot more weight on him, but clearly he was gassed. But in that first Triple G fight, Canelo looked gassed to me too towards the end of that fight. And I think over his career, his stamina has been an issue, I think, in some cases. We don't really get to see it all the time, because he'll get him out of there eventually. Right?
That has been mentioned before. You're right, Mikey. People have mentioned that he kind of fades a little bit down the stretch.
Yeah, and even in cases where it was starting to show, he eventually catches somebody slipping, right?
Yeah.
But game fighters, they won't allow that to happen, and that's why what Bivol did was he had the perfect game plan for him. Triple G, he doesn't move much, so he'll be there to hit, but he better box. I think he will come out boxing just to try to, make sure he doesn't tire in the later rounds, and then he'll slug out or try to get him out of there. So I agree with you saying.
I want to throw one more thing in there. In the second fight, Canelo, I mean, blame it on Five Guys, blame it on Outback Steakhouse, whatever. He did test positive for steroids. They said there was some tainted meat that came from Mexico when he was in Mexico, whatever. He did test positive for steroids. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe Triple G wants to even the score this time. He said, I'm on my way out anyway. Maybe I get a little something in my system before the fight. So we can get some of that old Triple G way back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, just saying. Okay. Shout out to Davon Johnson coming through. Says best boxing pod. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming through. D Weezy says Canelo by split decision would be great betting odds. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm being bold. Split decision Canelo, right? I think maybe he tries, he thinks about walking him down a little bit, and Triple G says, no, I'm ready for war. I'm ready to die here. And he's like, okay, this man ain't gonna, I can't take another L this way. So let me start to box him in. He'll outbox Triple G down the stretch and get that win.
Okay. So yeah, I think that we figured that Canelo would come back and take that and bounce back from his loss against Bivol. What some people saw coming, not everybody, but some people saw coming, was our favorite Jake Paul pulling out of his fight against Hasim Rahman Jr. And you might be wondering why I say Jake Paul pulled out when Hasim didn't make weight. Because you don't really see boxers cancel fights over missed weight, right? You take a penalty in the purse, right? You lose part of your purse, and the fight goes on, typically. But Hasim Rahman says that he didn't hear anything about the fight being canceled, until obviously he heard about it on social media at the same time as us. That he offered to just basically forfeit his purse and go on with the fight, and Jake Paul didn't want none. he said that he whooped up on him in sparring. He posted a video proving that. He said he did it with one hand. He did it with one hand, and he said Jake Paul didn't want the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, Mikey. What are your thoughts?
So this hurts because people can easily go back and hear me saying I'm starting to like this kid, right?
Yeah.
I was with you there.
And I do. I still like, for the most part, I still like what he's doing. Behind the scenes in boxing, right? I do like what he's shaking up with the promoters and stuff like that. I do like that. But the great, the great Sean Porter, who put on his Nostradamus hat and then came up with, he called this, what was it, 2 weeks before or something,
yes.
that he said that this was going to happen. So I'm gonna take his word for it, right? Like, obviously, people in the boxing world knows that this type of thing isn't, they saw this coming. Look,
Paul was trying to drain him.
Yeah, he was trying to drain him, and he said like he'll eventually, or somebody will back out, and he said Paul would. I don't know what Paul was. I don't know what he was thinking in the first. I don't know if he got excited. I don't know. I'm okay. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Because now I'm a Paul guy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna say that he wanted to fight, right? But I'm gonna say someone on his team said, "Yo, you can't do this. You cannot risk this right now. If you want to continue to make $40 million a year off of this, you can't do it. This is not going to be good for you, for your brand or your health. You're going to get knocked the heck out." And Paul, the eyes probably got this big, and then he was like, "Yo, you serious? Like, you think I'm right? Are you serious? Okay, then we got to do what we got to do, right? We got to make sure we got."
So do you think they told him because of the weight, or because they saw Hasim how he was approaching the fight, and they're like, "Nah, this ain't a good idea."
Yeah, I think it's a little. I think they saw Hasim wasn't coming in there like you like to say, Jose. This wasn't sports. This wasn't boxing entertainment for him.
Yes,
this was. Yeah, I'm gonna get a nice size check, but I'm gonna knock this dude. I'm going in there to make a statement. He's coming off of getting knocked
State going into Michigan. Right?
He's coming off of getting knocked out himself, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think for him, it's one of those like, yo, I can't go in there and lose to this guy. You know what I mean? I can't lose this fight. And I think that they saw that. And the word is that they didn't want him to take the fight in the first place. They didn't want Jake to make this fight in the first place. That's the word. That behind the scenes, his brother and everybody on his team were telling him, "Nah, don't do this." So,
and that's smart because he's. I mean, I was giving him credit for taking on a real fighter. I said, you're not a real fighter. You haven't fought any real fighters, but that's what he was doing, right? Hasim Rahman's a real fighter, a real boxer. I don't think he's particularly good, but he was 19-0 or whatever it was. He was going into his last fight where he got knocked out. He is a real legitimate fighter, and Jake Paul was going to get beat. He was going to get beat bad. I had said early when he first started doing this, you can only do the, retired MMA fighters and YouTube guys, for so long before people are like, well, why don't you fight somebody for real?
Yeah.
And, I thought he was stepping up and saying, yeah, I'm going to fight somebody for real now. But yeah, if his team told him, hey, don't take this fight, don't make this fight, that was the smart thing to do. Just see how long you can kind of play out that string. Because, yeah, I mean, he's training for real. I think he really does want to kind of be a boxer, right? But you don't get to start your career on pay-per-view. As a main eventer on pay-per-view. You have to take those lower end fights where you're not going to look good every night. And particularly for somebody like Jake Paul, you're going to get beat some of those times, most likely.
Yeah.
You don't get to be the main event guy selling, six figures in pay-per-views from the start. He tried to skip to the end phase of a boxing career without putting all the work in. And so now he just kind of looks like he was afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was him who said, "Hey, we got to cancel this fight," or whether it was his team, he looks like he was afraid of Hasim Rahman Jr. And coming out and tweeting about fighting KSI later this month, it makes it look that much worse. It makes it like, hey man, yeah, I sparred with a real fighter and he kicked my ass, and now I want to fight YouTubers again.
Right.
That's exactly how that's exactly how it looks. Now, he's smart because his following, he has a huge following outside of the boxing community, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
right? Huge YouTube star. So when he puts out a narrative, there's a big portion of the public that's going to believe, hey, this is on Hasim Rahman for missing weight, right? Because I spoke to Ferris about it earlier, right? And Ferris was like, well, didn't they agree to fight at 200? Like, isn't this on Hasim Rahman? Yeah, I mean, Hasim Rahman, there's definitely some culpability on his part, right? Even if you want to say that, hey, he rushed me into signing this contract, you don't have to say yes, right? So you did agree to it. The weight was unrealistic for Hasim Rahman. He just finished fighting at 225 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around.
So that was never going to happen. And the boxing commission, stepped in and said, okay, this fight can't happen at 200. 205 is more doable. He was able to get his weight down to 216 when they did their weight check. And this is where, it depends on what side you believe, because Jake Paul is saying, okay, we did a new contract for 205. They said they didn't get to 205. And then he waited till the last minute to say, we're not fighting at 205. We're only going to fight at 215, or the fight's not happening. And that's when he canceled the fight. Hasim Rahman said that's not true, and he has emails and everything to back it up. He said, yeah, we asked if we can fight at 215, or maybe negotiate down to 210 or something like that, and they didn't leave any room to negotiate. They said you have until this time that night to sign the 205 agreement, or the fight's off. Now, Rahman said he didn't even get the contract initially. It went through his representatives or whatnot, so they can look over it. And they just needed more time to look over it, but they never said no. And without sending them any kind of notification or anything like that, they just get on social media and announce that the fight is off. Right? That is not typical in boxing. And even if a fighter comes in overweight, they get penalized. In his case, he'd be penalized heavily, and he was willing to do that. He was willing to fight for the minimum of $5,000, and you still fight. Now, canceling it, yeah, that confirms what a lot of people believe. It confirms what Sean Porter was saying weeks prior, that this is what his camp was going to try to do. Because, yeah, I think when he tagged Hasim Rahman to step in for Tommy Fury, that there's going to be an understanding that, hey, you're not going to
get this payday. Yeah.
Right. And Hasim Rahman Sr. said, you're not going down like that. You already just got knocked out. You took an L. You're not taking 2 L's in a row. You damn sure not losing to a YouTuber, right? Hasim Rahman Jr. doesn't need the money. His dad got money, right? Like, they're not hurting for money. Like, that family cares about their legacy, right? So he said, I'm going to knock this boy's head off. And when Jay Paul saw that, he was just like, okay, yeah, he don't get it. All right, so we gonna have to back out of this. But yeah, so now he's in a situation where yes, your YouTube fans will believe you, but that's not you don't, like, in terms of this, you don't care about that, right? You want to be respected as a boxer. The boxing community does not respect you right now, right? You have to, especially when you try to go make a fight with another YouTuber who doesn't want to fight you right now. He has another fight set up. You have to go and do it the hard way, like B said. Start at the bottom. There are guys, professional fighters, that are kind of on his level now that I think we give him some good work. He can get the win. It won't be pretty. He might, fight a 4-round fight to decision, and that's fine. But he thought he could, like B said, he can skip the line a little bit, and he thought he could mask it by putting it on boxing entertainment, right? Yeah. Ben Askren, that was boxing entertainment. You're talking about an MMA fighter, a accomplished MMA fighter,
a ground fighter, not a guy who didn't even have a stand-up game in MMA.
Even still,
let alone any kind of boxing skills.
But even still,
yeah,
had he showed up in fighting shape, he would have gave Jake Paul all kinds of problems. He showed up, didn't work out a single day, took his L, and when smiling, walking out of the ring, right? Because it's an easy payday for him. Tyron Woodley, who was one of the greatest welterweight MMA fighters of all time, both times they fight, I feel like he pulled back on the first fight. The second fight, I think, is understood. Maybe you should fall down, right? And definitely, he has a little bit more of a boxing background. Definitely, if things are up and up, I don't see him beating. I don't see him beating Tyron Woodley, right? But I think those 3 fights in between, while he's kind of masking his lack of skill, he behind the scenes, I think he's putting in a lot of work. I do think that, and even Hasim Rahman said from the first time he sparred him to the second time, he saw a difference, right? So I think he's putting in a lot of work, and I think Jake Paul truly believes he could be a professional fighter. And he wants to keep doing his boxing entertainment until he feels comfortable. He's at a level where he can actually take on real boxers. But the last time he sparred Hasim Rahman, he wasn't anywhere near ready for it, right? And then, okay, I'm going to fight this guy because I'm familiar with them, and maybe we have this understanding, and Hasim Rahman says, you're going down. He got cold feet. So he's in a tough situation because he can't go back to fighting an MMA fighter. He can't go back to fighting a YouTube fighter. It has to be a boxer. So who should he go and fight next?
Well, we did get a donation there. You can put that back up and read that from our guy Shug.
Oh, shout out to Shug, man. Appreciate you, man. It says, much love to my favorite host, Mikey, who always speaks facts. Wait, did it pop on the screen?
It did.
Not okay, good.
But it did earlier.
Wait, hold on. Let me try.
Thanks, Shug. You know I love you.
There we go. Now it's there. Yes, I want to make sure you guys get that animation. Yes, and if you want to be awesome like Shug and anonymous, go ahead, hit up that Cash App right next to Mikey. $LBHT show. That's the Cash App. That's how we do our super chat. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a pinned link in the comment that will take you to our Stream Elements link. Both ways, you leave your donation, leave your comment, and we will read your comment on air. You get that nice little animation right next to the crown next to me. All right. And if you are new here, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe. All right. Okay. Jake Paul should fight Ferris. That's what Shug says.
I mean, there's plenty of people he can fight, man. Like, there's plenty of 6 and 15 fighters out there that, I mean, I listen, this is the thing with him, right? I think we all are boxing fans, right? Now his core might not want to see this, but boxing fans, if this is what he wants to become a boxer, we all just want to see him fight a real boxer, someone who is a professional fighter. They box. That's what they do 24/7, right? There's plenty of people under there that he could get out there that he can get some work from, right? Not every fight has to be this huge production, right? Yeah. So, I think that's where he's stuck at. Like, everything has to be this huge production. So he's looking for a name or something that people will want to see, and that's going to sell, right? I do like how he uses himself to sell his fighters, like Serrano, right?
Serrano, yeah.
Yes, I do like how he pushes her and he uses that situation to put her on a bigger stage. I do like that, right? Mm-hmm. But he might just need to jump out there and get something under his belt. And then there's enough. I still think there's enough people out there that he could fight. That might not be, it might not be such a frowned upon name or opponent that people will pay, to watch. His core fan base is going to pay to watch it anyway. Right, so he can find work if he want to do it. The YouTube thing, if this is what he's going to do, he needs to call it what it is. And I think you gave it the perfect name. If it's going to be boxing entertainment, it has a lane. Clearly, you've created this lane for it to be there. So just call it that. Hey, I'm calling out YouTubers, former athletes, whatever, and that's what we're going to do. right? Or former MMA fighters, whatever. That's what it's going to be. But if you're going to call yourself a boxer, he's going to have to eventually move that route and take on a fight. And even if it's not one that's going to sell, and the casual fan not going to know who the person is. Shoot, we might not even know who the person is, but he's just going to have to do that. He's going to have to make that move. So.
Yeah. And we've got another donation here from Shug. Says, there we go. You can see it better now. Says, B and Jose are okay hosts. What? Question is, are you worried about the Izzy fight with Alex? Much love. We'll talk about that.
We'll save that for the very end there. I was gonna say, Mike, I agree with you. I think that, the problem for Jake Paul is he wants to be on pay-per-view. He wants to be a big name. He wants to sell. He wants to be able to talk trash to Conor McGregor and all this stuff. And you can't do that while you're trying to become an actual professional fighter. I think the only reason he picked Hasim Rahman is because he has a famous name, a name that boxing fans recognize, even though he himself has not, is not a really well-known fighter. But he's from social media. That's where he blew up, or he made a bunch of money, and a lot of that's not real. It's fake. You put on shows, you put on an act for the people watching.
Yeah,
and I think that if you want to keep doing that, you can't do real fights, because these social media fans are not going to care about you fighting some random dude who has a 500 record or worse or anything like that, or people they just don't know anything about.
Right.
But I do think that if he wants it to be an honest, he wants to give it an honest try at becoming a professional fighter, that's something that can be really compelling. Even chronicling that through YouTube, of taking real fights and doing an almost documentary style of following his journey as a, trying to become a professional fighter. And at that point, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's, people are going to connect with you and the journey that you're on and the work that you're putting in and the highs and the lows and everything like that. But I don't think that he wants that. I think he wants to be a boxing star. Like you said, I think he wants to fake it until he makes it, and he's not going to make it that way.
Yeah. And shout out to Hendo. We got another tip here. Hendo says, let's put up a purse and watch Shug and Ferris fight for 3 rounds. I'm with that. And
that will last exactly 1 minute and 37 seconds. And they will be hugging
and
each
both
other
fall
in the
out
middle of the ring, saying, "Please don't move. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna fall out."
Did the purse ever drop? Did we know what Hasim was gonna get?
Initially, Hasim Rahman was going to get. It wasn't a lot, right? Was it 200,000 or something like that?
I think it was the least of all the opponents, right?
Yeah, I want to say about 200,000.
Yeah.
And in the end, Hasim said, "Look, keep the money. I don't care about the money. I just want to knock you out." Like that right there. That was when Jake Paul said, "All right, we can't fight this guy." Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's funny because that's the thing that's going to lead to him getting real respect in the boxing community. If he went out there and even Hasim Rahman knocked him out, if you go in there and you take the beating, then people are going to respect you afterwards.
I think that's the part that Jake Paul doesn't understand about this sport, is that you go out there. I mean, you get respect when you step in the ring, right? But just stepping in there, you get respect. Even though there'll be some memes and all that stuff, like that's part of the sport. But people will always respect you for going in there and trying to take on a real fighter, right?
Boxing fans will, and more importantly, actual boxers will.
Yeah, actual boxers will, and they'll respect you even more if you get back in that ring after an L.
Yeah,
they'll respect you even more. Like, hey, you know what? Hey, learn a valuable lesson. I'm not quitting. I'm jumping right back in there. They will give you all the respect in the world. But this isn't fake. Boxing is not fake. That's real.
You don't play boxing.
You do not play boxing. That is a fact. That is a fact. So I think Jake Paul, B brought up a very good point, and this is probably the truest thing, right? What Jake Paul needs to do is focus on getting some more fighters, right? Like he has a promotion company, he has Amanda Serrano who's hot right now. Get some more fighters, right?
Yeah, and I think Ferris said it a couple streams ago. and I mentioned it to you guys too a while ago. The guy's name slips me, but I think he's from the Bay Area. He signed a young guy out there that's uh, that's good, quite possibly can make some noise in boxing. That's where I love this kid. That's where I really, really like this kid. And I do think he can make a mark. Listen, you said it. You said it earlier, Jose. He's smart, right? He is smart with this. So again, he uses this to catapult his boxers, and what he's done for Serrano. She even says, like, you can tell she loves what he's done for her in her career. So yeah, I mean, but if it's going to be, that, right, he can still make it. If it's going to be boxing entertainment, he can still use those and selling those cards to push his boxers, right? Because they're gonna still see him. We all right, yeah. Your fight is going to be a joke or whatever, but it's gonna have you're gonna have your fighters on that same card, which is then it's still a win-win in those situations. So but in his defense, right? Like, and I think we've all said this. We think he really wants to be a fighter, and most boxers who I've heard who've been asked about him says like, "Yo, like he's putting in the work." Like they don't knock him putting in the work, So that to you guys' point that even he got in there and he got beat, he'd probably gain more respect than he thinks he will. So we'll see, man.
First says Ashton Silva, and he's from Long Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
See? Yo, we gotta hire Ferris as like to play the what's the show with Tony Kornheiser and them?
Pardon the interruption.
Yeah.
Stat Boy.
When it has Stat Boy who would correct him.
Tony Reality. Yeah.
Yes, Tony Reality. Like Ferris is he's always on point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just thought about it. Another avenue for him, if this part of this type of boxing doesn't work out, let's say he can't get any real boxers to sign with them, right? Outside of Serrano. But he wants to be in this business. And does have to be boxing entertainment type, right? Yes, awesome. Did the awesome. And thank you for coming through to the live stream. He says Ferris is an undercover cop. But look, who is he trying to go back to, right? He's going back to what he knows, fighting another YouTuber. And after Logan Paul really paved the way, right? Logan Paul and KSI, those two fights did huge numbers for DAZN. And it brought in a different audience. There's been a lot of content creators out there setting up matches. A lot of them are popular. I don't know all of them, but a lot of them are fairly popular in the YouTube community, and they have their niche. So why not organize something like that? Start signing some YouTubers, to however many fights to get them to set up more YouTube fights. Like that can be its own thing, if this part doesn't work out. But I'm not saying give up on it, because I think what he's doing now is commendable. I like that he's an advocate for UFC fighters, because his partner used to be an exec over at UFC. I like that he advocates for MMA fighters to make more money. And maybe that's another thing. Maybe start your own MMA thing, right?
Yeah.
Partner with PFL or somebody already established and try to get that going and sign some of these fighters that aren't making a whole lot of money in UFC, or that could be another thing too. Sign some of these UFC fighters, these young UFC fighters that aren't making any money, and say, switch to boxing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you got a lot of talent. Don't waste it on UFC. You're not going to get any money there. Come over here, focus your craft on boxing, and I can make you some money.
Yeah.
But he's got
I think he will change the game in that regard in some way. I think it's still early for him. I like what I see on that end of it, but this doesn't look good. I think he had more people, especially boxing fans, on his, starting to warm up to him once he, okay, he's all right, he's gonna fight Hasim. But this kind of this took him back about 20 steps, so he's got to come correct again. He got to come correct again in this next thing he's gonna do. So we'll see. Yeah. I got a person.
Cool.
I bet my house that Damon Nicholson would knock his block off, and he'll probably be heavier than Damon. But I put my money on Damon. Yeah. Fight Damon. That's a real fighter.
I think you'll say he should sign Damon. I'm like, yeah, I'm with that too.
Well,
Give him
that too,
give him $1 million fight.
Yeah, sure.
Listen, we can get that set up. All right, we know some people. We can make some calls, and we can get a fight with him and Damon Nicholson. Damon will make weight, no problem.
Yep,
no problem. We can make that happen. All right. Okay. Suge wants to know, can Jake Paul sign Ring Kings podcasters to box? I don't think that will maybe that new boxing game or something. Maybe we can do a match on that, but no, not in the ring. Not yet. Maybe one of these days you might see us in the gym. Maybe you might see us shoot a couple of videos from working out in a boxing gym. Look, we got all kinds of things that we're planning over here. Okay. So you might see us in the ring. You may not see us fighting, but you might see us in the ring, shadow boxing or something like that. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's it. That's what we had on our lineup. Is there anything else that we want to discuss? What's coming up?
I don't think right now. I mean, we talk about Suge's question regarding Israel Adesanya, who's just set up to fight Alex Pereira. I believe it's in November. UFC, I think 281. If you don't know about Alex Pereira or Israel Adesanya, Adesanya is one of the top fighters in the world right now in MMA. He's been kind of ruling that middleweight division for a while. He tried his luck in moving up to light heavyweight. He lost a decision to Jan Blachowicz, moved back down, and immediately resumed dominating. He came from kickboxing, and he got beat a couple times in kickboxing by Alex Pereira. One time he got knocked out. Pereira was, he's been in kickboxing up until very recently. He just made the move over to UFC. I'm not sure if Adesanya actually had anything to do with it. That's kind of been the narrative that he's coming for Adesanya again.
Right. Yeah.
I think he just kind of wanted to make the switch. But since he got to the UFC, he's looked unstoppable. He looks like a Terminator. I mean, he knocks guys out with ease. He's got a deadly left hook. He's got even scarier knees. And he's been on a collision course with Adesanya ever since he got to UFC, and now they're actually going to step in the cage later on in November. So Suge wants to hear our thoughts on LZ. You want to start off there?
I don't think Israel Adesanya is worried at all. They asked him about it after the fight. He's like, "No, man, listen, that was years ago, and he knew what his mistake was." He said to me, it's the same thing as what's his name, Costa, right? Costa looked like a Terminator too. He was jacked. He was knocking people out like that. Like he looked like a Brazilian Mike Tyson, Mikey. This dude was insanely strong. And when Israel Adesanya was asked about it, he was just like, "That guy, no, he's not on my level. Don't put him in the ring with me. I will wash him." And that's exactly what he did.
I do want to say that Alex Pereira he is the real deal. He can fight. Paulo Costa, he may or may not have come out of a needle.
But listen, we think he's a real deal. But just like Costa, he's not fighting any of the top middleweights, right? He's skipping all these guys. Go fight Robert Whittaker, because I don't think he beat Robert Whittaker, right? Go fight Jared Cannonier. Go fight Vittori, or you know what I'm saying? Like there's a bunch of guys near the top that he could fight that make me say, okay.
Well, I just mean he's the real deal in terms of, I mean, in kickboxing he was a great kickboxer, and it looks like it's translated to UFC in terms of the stand-up game. I don't know what he has on the ground because nobody has lasted long enough to get him on the ground.
But this was this is Paulo Costa.
But Costa didn't have that kind of history. Where he was at the top of anything. He came into the UFC and he had a lot of knockouts in a row, but he's not somebody who had a legacy as a great fighter before.
But if you look at the quality of fighters that both of them are fight, Costa might have fought in some better fighters.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, it's not the same in terms of, Pereira has proven himself in glory.
Yeah.
Paulo Costa never did. Paulo Costa was rushed into a fight with Adesanya and he paid the price for it, and he hasn't been anything since then. Pereira, we'll see how it goes with Adesanya. Personally, I think Adesanya wins. Like I said, it was a long time ago, and even in glory, I mean, when people talk about Alex Pereira, it's kind of like in whispers, right? Like he's this myth, and you don't want to say his name too loud, or he might show up. I mean, he was 33-7. He's been beaten. It's not like he's unstoppable, right? He is a scary fighter, but again, I haven't seen him on the ground. I know Adesanya can fight on the ground. I know Adesanya is one of the best stand-up fighters in the world. And I know that he's a much better fighter now than he was, even when he first came into, drank too much wine. Then when he first came into the UFC, I think it'll be a good fight. I'm not saying he's gonna embarrass this guy or anything like that. I think it'll be a good fight, but I think Adesanya wins on points.
Look, Pereira's that guy because that's you guys had me watching that card, and I remember texting you guys like, "Yo, this dude looks mean."
Yeah.
And then he got to the ring and he destroyed dude, and I was like, "Yo, that's my new favorite fighter." And they did they did the whole the build up, the story before the fight and all of that, and I was sold. Like, yo, this dude is he seems like you said, a Terminator. So again, I like what I saw out of him, but I'm not versed well enough in MMA yet to say either way. But from just the eye test, and I think I know fighting, combat sports. I think it'll be. I want to watch it right now. As someone that's new, that's getting into MMA, I do want to see that fight because dude seems serious. That obviously they have some history.
Yeah.
But Izzy is that dude, right? So it's like, and I remember him saying that too after the fight. They asked him, he was like, "Listen, this is a different game. Like, this is different. Like, I respect dude, but this different." So I think it'll be, obviously this is going to be easy for them to sell, right? They're going to sell the hell out of this thing off of
You would think.
Well, that's right. You guys did say that they don't do well. They don't do well with that.
They don't, man. They don't.
I'm intrigued. Definitely.
For sure.
All right, we'll end it there. Look, guys, we got a lot of boxing coming up. Next week, Teofimo returns. We got our guy Xander Zayas, who will be on the undercard. If you don't know who that is, check out our watch list where Mikey breaks down Xander Zayas. We also put out another watch list video with
Keyshawn Davis.
Yes, Keyshawn Davis.
One of the young fighters at lightweight, 5-0 right now, 4 knockouts. Another rising star there.
Yes. So we're putting out a lot of content. We got more in the works. We're going to be featuring our new series here pretty soon called Sparring Sessions, where we try to answer some of the questions from boxing fans or casual new fans that they have questions about the sport. We try to answer those things. The one coming up is, why are there so many belts in boxing? Okay, so we try to tackle that a little bit, give you a little perspective on that. And yeah, if you're digging our content, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share it out to your friends and family and your loved ones, and tell them how awesome we are, and tell them to subscribe. Any last words before we get out of here, fellas?
No, I mean, we've said his name a couple times already, but I just want to shout out my guy, man, Damon Nicholson. He had a fight last night at Maryland Live Casino here in Hanover, Maryland. And he did work with the guy, got him out there in 3 rounds. I got history with this guy. He's a man now, but I always call him a kid because I watched him grow up, and I knew that he was going to do what he's doing now. I knew he was going to be a professional fighter, and he said it. He would always speak it, and he was focused, and it's a great thing to see him actually living his dream. So I'm proud of that kid. Shout out to Damon, man. Keep doing what you're doing. He is making a mark. I don't know if you follow my Twitter, but he said last night, not much talking. It was just a statement. I'm just about making statements now until I get a shot at what I want to do. And so look out for him, man. Damon Nicholson. Follow him.
All right, there you go. Well said. All right, B, you got anything?
No, I mean, I think that's it. Just excited for the all the events coming up. So we're going to be here streaming a lot over the next couple of months, but it should be fun.
All right, and that is it. We will be here next weekend. Probably with
Look at me.
We'll be here next weekend with another live stream. We gotta talk about Teofimo, man. We gotta see how he looks.
Yeah, he coming back.
You're gonna be will he be back? Or is it gonna be we gotta see how he looks. And that fight can have some huge implications at what happens at 140 that he's fighting at now. There'll be some huge implications of what happens afterwards. Will he fight Ryan Garcia next? Will he be on the collision course with Tank Davis?
Josh
Taylor. Like there's a lot that can happen there depending on how he looks. So that's an important fight. So yeah, like we said, man, we got a lot of content coming. Be on the lookout. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Follow Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Ring Kings Pod, and also that Patreon right above me. Patreon.com/LBHT show. If you want to be a member, you want to support the show a little bit further, that's how you do it. All right. Okay. We are out of here. B, are you ready?
I am ready.
He is ready. Y'all have a good night. We will see you next time. Peace out.